Hey guys, it's Krista Watson here from Christa Quilts, and I'm excited to welcome you to my brand new series, Krista's Quilt Chat. So this is a brand new series that I'm starting, and it's going to happen every other Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Now, just so you know, this is going to be pre-recorded every time I do these chats. So they're going to drop on my YouTube channel, conveniently located at kristaquilts.tv. But you don't have to be there live to watch it. You can check out my channel every Wednesday after 10 a.m. and you'll have something to watch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate this quilt chat every other week with more full-length tutorials. You can actually head over to my channel now and you can see the couple of videos I've already posted. They were kind of my soft launch to get things going. But here's what I've learned. What I want to do is I want to share fun, fresh content with you guys every single week. But it took me a little while to figure out what that was going to look like and how the schedule was going to work. I finally figured out that if I drop something every Wednesday at 10 a.m., you guys can have consistency. So my hope for this Krista's Quilt Chat segment is to just make it very informal and fun and kind of share with you guys what's really happening in my quilty world. So most of you guys know that I do this full time. This is my job. It supports my family. I really appreciate everything that everybody does to support me, and I just want to make it more exciting and more fun. So there's a lot of work that goes into being a full-time quilting professional, and I want to kind of share more of that, like real behind the scenes. I'll be giving you guys sneak peeks of what's happening. I'll be telling you what I'm working on. I might be working on something now that you're not going to see 6 months from now. So I'll kind of, give little sneak peeks as I can, just to kind of bring you guys inside my world and share. One of the ways that I kind of deal with everything and all the busyness of life is if I share it. I don't know why, but like if I share, pictures and video and Instagram, it kind of helps me process what I'm doing, and I get just as much enjoyment out of sharing it as I do actually making the product. So we'll kind of see how that goes. So this week, I'll kind of tell you what has been happening, what I've really been working on in real time. The most exciting thing, well, lots of exciting things, but maybe the most exciting one is I just got my brand new fabric samples. Now here's where I kind of have to, give you a caveat of how this is going to work. I will share tiny sneak peeks of things, but sometimes that stuff's not going to be available. However, if you're watching this 6 months or a year in the future, it might be. So just kind of know that going into it. I kind of run the risk of ruining the surprise if I give you guys the behind the scenes, but I really want to balance that with, like I said, telling you what's really happening in my world. So with that, I'm just going to give you the smallest sneak peek, probably the smallest sneak peek I can give you. I'm just going to tell you the name of my new collection. It's going to be called Stitchy, and I'll show you the logo. Okay, I know that's not really very exciting for you guys right now. As I get into it and I start making quilts and projects, I'll probably go ahead and show you more sneak peeks, and it's not supposed to come out till like later summer, early fall. As I make these things ahead of time, I'm going to go ahead and record myself. I'm going to get everything ready for video tutorials, all that kind of stuff, inspiration posts. That way I can capture my excitement of while I'm working on it now. Then, 3 to 6 months from now, when it comes out, I'll already have that stuff ready to go. So it'll be kind of one of those things where, like when magazines or authors, write things ahead of time and then they don't publish it for a while, the excitement wears off. Hopefully I can keep the excitement going the whole time. So we'll see. It's all a work in progress anyway. Okay, so speaking of more secret stuff, the other thing that I have been working on is my next book. I've kind of given you guys some hints. Basically what I'm doing right now is I am using a new publisher I haven't worked with before. It's C&T. So the book is written, it's been edited, the cover photography has been done. The next step is I have one more final edit. Once I get the book back and I do the final edit and I know that it's going to print, that's probably when I'll open up my pre-orders, because it takes a while. I think most of the books are shipped overseas and all that kind of thing. And that book is supposed to come out in July, but again, it's April right now, April 2022. So I'm not ready and comfortable yet with doing pre-orders until I know for sure the book is on its way, just in case there's any delays. So it is going to be called How Do I Quilt It? And I'll give you just a little behind the scenes how this book came to be. I've had this idea to write this book. It's basically a culmination of everything that I've been teaching for my 25 years of, teaching quilting so far. Anyway, and so I've written 4 books already, and my previous 4 books are with Martingale. This is kind of a newer book because it really breaks down the nitty-gritty from start to finish of how I actually make the quilt, how I plan the quilt. And in my mind, it's a very good follow-up to the book that I released previously called 99 Machine Quilting Designs. I know a lot of you guys have my current book. So 99 Machine Quilting Designs just has designs. You just flip through it. It's just an idea book, and it kind of tells you how to do the designs, but it doesn't show you how to do those on an actual quilt. So in my mind, when I wrote both of these books, it was kind of almost like a series. First, learn lots of different designs that you can machine quilt. Then once you have a good library of designs, then you can apply them to an actual quilt. So if you get 99 machine quilting designs, you'll have tons of ideas. Then if you follow up and you get my next book, How Do I Quilt It?, you can take those designs and apply them. Now, the book itself, How Do I Quilt It?, of course, it can stand alone all on its own, and it does have a series of designs in it. But in my mind, I kind of wrote them to go back to back. Now, you guys might be asking, well, why did I switch publishers? The only reason I switched publishers is because C&T, their Stash Books imprint, they are targeting a more modern audience. And my first 4 books with Martingale, they were targeting more of a traditional audience. And for example, like Martingale, I love them. They're great people, had wonderful experiences with them. They do a lot of promoting at Quilt Market. They do a lot of promoting with quilt shops. I've had a wonderful relationship with them. However, the one event that they do not participate in is they don't go to QuiltCon. And for me, that's a huge game changer. I go to QuiltCon, I teach a lot there. That is targeting the modern audience. That is not their audience, and that's totally fine. Obviously, modern quilters buy their books, but they don't, that's not a big marketing effort for them, which is totally fine. Not a problem. But C&T, however, they are a big sponsor of QuiltCon. They're there every year. They usually have a booth. They do a lot of promotion. And so that's the main reason I wanted to have a book with C&T, so that I can do some events at QuiltCon. I can promote my book. So anyway, again, behind the scenes, I haven't blogged about this. I probably won't talk about that publicly, but that's just my decision. I had 4 books with one publisher, wonderful experience, and now I'm going with C&T for my next book. So with all that said, it's called How Do I Quilt It? It's not coming out till later on. I just shared the cover with you, but stay tuned for that. And again, as it gets closer, I'll do some incentives and we'll have some, promotional kind of things to go with that. So that should be a lot of fun. All right, speaking of more fun stuff, right now I'm actually having a clearance sale on my website. And I'm okay with telling you guys this because even if you see this like far in the future, I will always have things on clearance. So if you just go to my site at shop.christaquilts.com, you can see what's on sale. Normally what I do is when a new fabric line is coming out, I will go ahead and I will put some of my older fabrics on clearance. This is the point where I forget how many fabrics I've done. I think I've just finished 7 lines of fabric and I'm working on number 8. I could be off by 1. And so at that time, I need to create some more room on my shelves for storage. And so I go through and I kind of just update some of the bolts. Maybe some of them I only have a couple yards left, or I've already grabbed what I needed to. And so I will always have fabrics on clearance. So go ahead and check that out. I like to support the habit and your habit, and it all works out, right? Okay, and so now this brings me to the next part of what I want to talk about, of what is happening, what I'm actually doing this week and getting ready for next week. So I've shared some sneak peeks on social media about my brand new table called the Christa Cabinet. It's with Arrow Sewing and an accessory called Christa's Quilt Block. So basically this table has been a dream come true of mine. It's large enough to hold your quilt. The Christa's Quilt Block accessory helps you corral the quilt onto the table so it doesn't fall off the edges. So anyway, I made a little promotional video for Arrow and I'm gonna share that with you now. It's not finalized, like I've done the video, but they're gonna jazz it up and they're gonna add like their branding to it and stuff like that. And then later when the table launches, I will kind of probably share it again, but I wanted to show it to you in its raw form just so you kind of get an idea of what's coming. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let me show you just a few of the features that make this the perfect workspace for home sewers and quilters. First, check out this sewing lift that easily lowers for flatbed sewing. With a custom insert, the machine bed sits flush with the top of the table. With the machine drop down, it's much more comfortable on the hands and wrists while sewing. This also enables super smooth movement when machine quilting larger projects. You can easily lift the tray back up to table height when you need the full table space for something like cutting or attaching an embroidery module to your machine. It's adjustable too. You can tighten the length of the chains on either side of the lift or remove some of the chain lengths to shorten up the drop if needed. I love the beautiful clean lines of my Christa cabinet with plenty of room to work. An extension leaf on the right and pull-out drawer on the left provide a large L-shaped table surface, which is exactly what you need to adequately hold up the weight of the quilt while machine quilting. There's plenty of room to accommodate larger bed quilts, especially if you do a lot of scrunching and smushing of the quilt like I like to do. Without the drawer extension, you can see that the quilt will fall to the ground or hang off the table, adding friction and drag, which you do not want while quilting. When extended, the drawer is held snugly in place with a support that can slide out of the way when the drawer is not in use. The fold-out leaf on the right is supported by a piece that magnetically locks in place to create a firm, stable surface area. This extra leaf on the right is wide enough to hold notions, a beverage, and other essentials that I need easy access to while sewing. When not in use, the drawer topper gets tucked away into a slot at the foot of the table. The closed drawer is roomy enough to store essential sewing notions, or you can act like me and hide your candy stash in there so no one else will find it. When fully extended, my Christa cabinet can be the focal point of your dream sewing space. The extension leaf on the back nearly doubles the workspace, and the very sturdy legs are held in place with magnetic locks and rubber stoppers that can be adjusted for a nice tight fit. The rolling casters provide easy mobility, yet they won't move when locked into place. I have laminate floors in my studio, and I'm always rolling my cabinet around as I film videos and take photos of my quilts. The sewing machine cutout is in the perfect position so that you are sitting smack dab in front of the machine for perfect visibility and less strain on your body. When all of the leaves are tucked away and folded down, the cabinet is still a very functional table that takes up a much smaller footprint. You can store it this way, tucked into a corner, or you can use it in the smaller position. There's nothing more frustrating than when the quilt falls off the side of the table while stitching, so my quilt blocks prevent that from happening. You can attach them to wherever there's a lip to grab onto. Try the back of the table, or on the left side, or wherever you need the most protection for your quilt. You can also attach one quilt block to the side and one to the back so that the quilt is completely corralled into the corner while sewing. Christa's quilt blocks are a complete game changer when it comes to creating a functional workspace. They are available separately in pairs of 2, and the best part is they'll fit on all major brands of sewing tables. Each set comes with 2 heavy-duty boards, 2 clamps, and screws that you can adjust to create a nice tight fit so they won't come off until you are ready to remove them. So hopefully you're excited about that. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more information, but again, I feel like I've got to give you guys lots of warnings when I do these lives because things aren't always finalized. We don't have final pricing and I don't have the official measurements. However, I can kind of give you some estimates and we'll just kind of have to go with that. So first of all, the MSRP is going to be somewhere around $1,500. MSRP, that's manufactured suggested retail price. Of course, it will go on sale. Dealers will have it. They'll be given some leeway. So you should be able to get it for cheaper than that. And then the quilt blocks themselves are going to be about $100 retail. But they're talking about, maybe some dealers will throw those in for free when you buy it. Maybe you can get free or discounted shipping. If you buy it from your dealer, you'll definitely get a break. So again, don't hold me to that number, but that's kind of the upper limit of how much it is. Now, kind of how this came about, when I was researching and trying to find a table, I actually got a lot of great offers. There were some other companies that were going to offer to let me purchase their table cheaper if I would do some promotion. I had a lot of really good offers, but none of the tables I looked at until I designed with Arrow was exactly what I wanted. Arrow was the only company who was actually willing to work with me to create the exact specs that I wanted. Again, I don't have the exact dimensions, but you can kind of see my sewing machine right here. This is my Bernina 770, QE. It is a very big machine. Now the table I don't think is going to hold the largest of the large machines, and I will get those details to you later once it's been released. I'll let you know the cutout, I'll let you know all those kind of dimensions. But if you have a machine that's the size of the 770 or smaller, it will definitely fit. That's kind of what I wanted it to work with. For larger machines, we would have had to go with a whole different, bigger table body, and who knows, maybe in the future we'll do something like that. But for this machine now, that's kind of the general information that I have for you guys. What I recommend is start saving your money. If you do want to purchase this sewing table, make sure you contact your dealers after May of 2022. It's actually going to launch in at this trade show called Vacuum Dealers Trade Association Show here in Las Vegas in April. So once it launches there, all the information is going to go out to the dealer. So sometime in May of 2022. I recommend that if you have a dealer that sells Arrow sewing furniture, go to them first, just because it's going to be a lot easier. They can help you set it up, that kind of thing. You'll get a lot of dealer support. If you don't have an Arrow dealer nearby, then I am going to drop ship it, which means you order it from me, you pay me, and then the company itself will mail it to you. The only issues with that is if you order it, that it's too hard to return something like that. So it's kind of like a final sale. And of course, there's the shipping cost. You can determine if you want to pay an extra fee to have it assembled or if you want to assemble it yourself. So all those kind of logistics things we still have to work out. But I got my sample. I've had this table now for about 6 months or so, maybe a little longer. And it's perfect. It's wonderful. All my tutorials are using it. So if you are a domestic machine quilter like me, you're absolutely going to love this table. I was really careful on the cost. It does not have a lot of bells and whistles. You know, this is like being a quilter and telling you all my flaws. Like, no, I don't want to tell you all my flaws, but it's a manual lift. It's not an electronic lift. It's only one height. I pretty much stripped it down to the bare bones to keep it affordable. You can definitely spend $5,000 on a table with all the extras if you wanted to, but I thought, you know, I don't think my audience wants to spend $5,000 on a table. If they have that kind of money, they're going to want to put it into a machine. So I wanted to get the table, you know, really good. Kind of just to keep things into perspective, back when I bought my first table before I designed the Christa Cabinet, I bought it like 25 years ago and it was like $700, you know, back then, like 20 years ago, and it wasn't as nice as now. So it's kind of with, you know, with inflation and stuff, it's pretty much your least expensive option. I mean, there's some really cheapy tables out there that you get for like $100, but again, they don't have all the bells and whistles. They don't have the stuff. Now, I know people don't necessarily like to get all into the nitty gritty of the numbers, but I just want to really give you guys this information and be honest and raw with you. But save your money. The table will be out in May. I think you're really going to love it. And then as we go, I'll kind of have more info to share with that. So that's kind of a lot of talk on the table, but I know people have had a lot of questions. And honestly, you know why I did it? One of the reasons I did this table is because as I started sharing videos, I would get hundreds of comments of people asking me, where can you get the table? Where can you get the table? I honestly did not plan on designing a table. I wanted to find the table and then just go refer people and maybe get a commission or something like that. Well, I could never find the table. And so that turned into me designing it. And it's been a 2-year process. Okay, enough about that. So coming up next week, I will be at the trade show in Las Vegas in April. It's going to be 3 days. I'm actually going to make a quilt and I'm going to be quilting live at the show so I can show people how the table works. Maybe I'll try to get some footage of that. I'm not really sure. But that's coming up. After that, in June of 2022, I am going to be a featured speaker at a guild in Texas. I think they're called the Brazos Blue Bonnet or Brazos Blue Bonnet. I've never done that before. I'm actually going to go and be part of the show and give some lectures and have a booth and meet and greet. And so I think that's going to be fun. And then in July, I'm really excited for Bernina University, which is not open to the public. It's a trade show just for dealers, but I'm also going to have some fun stuff. I've kind of teased a little bit. I'm actually in the process right now of designing my own line of notions with Brewer. They are a distributor, and Bernina actually owns Brewer. Bernina owns Benartex, the fabric company I designed for, and then they also own this notions company. And so kind of to go along with my table, I thought, oh, there's a whole bunch of notions that I really want to get out in the world. So as that gets closer, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I haven't been quilting as much, but I've been doing table videos and notions and book writing and editing. And hopefully after next week, after the trade show, I can kind of get back to a regular, sewing a lot more, because I haven't really touched my sewing machine in a few days, and I kind of miss it right now. So, that was a lot. I know I talked really fast. This is my first one, so bear with me. Each one will get better. If you do have questions, please leave them in the comments of wherever you see this. I'm going to post this to probably Facebook and my blog. It'll be on YouTube, but please know that I'm here for you. Any questions you have, I'm happy to answer. The only dumb question is the question not asked. So depending on your questions, that might inform future topics. I will answer your questions right away. And that's because I want you to feel like you can have contact with me, even though it's not a live show. One other thing, I'm not really going to edit these too much. So if I trip over my words, if I stumble over it, that's kind of as close to live as we can get. So thank you for watching. Feel free to go and watch as many times as you like. One other thing I will tell you real quick, the best way to support me is to buy my fabrics, buy my patterns. With my new little setup here, I'm going to try to share some quilts with you guys every week that maybe you've seen them, maybe there's some older quilts, just to kind of give you some inspiration. So the quilts behind me, the one on the wall, on my design wall, is called Lattice Work. And that one came out a little bit ago, and it can be made from charm packs or 10-inch squares. It came out, I think, for my third fabric line, so eventually I'll probably redo it in newer fabric, but comes in a couple different sizes, really fun to do. The quilt right here that you can see a little bit of on my table, this is my Modern Logs pattern, and I'm showing this sample made in my Black, White, and Bright collection. This is one of those quilts I've made several times, and you just can't go wrong. And then on the ladder behind me, I have my Blooming Wallflowers quilt. Even though it's only folded up, you can kind of see a little bit of it. I have the tutorial on how to make that quilt over on my YouTube channel. And then the other one above that one is called Charming Chevrons. Charming Chevrons was actually my first pattern I ever created a long time ago, and I've updated it and I've remade it and remade it. And one of these days I will actually show a video tutorial how to make that. So that's coming up too. Anyway, I blathered on for quite a while. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, that's okay too. I'm here for everybody. Just thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great quilty week.